Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Executive Director of Vermont Pride, Kim Fountain.
Thank you all for being here this evening. I see a lot of these things. Should we be doing something with these?
They're all
Just
for the
leave them?
TV.
Senator knows what to do. So thank you all for being here this evening. So much went into putting this on. I will be louder, yes. So I want to thank a few folks before we begin. I want to thank Reverend Mara McDowell and her team at the First Unitarian Church of Burlington for letting us meet there. I would like to thank Burlington Police Department Chief Brandon Del Pozo and other law enforcement officers who reached out immediately to the Pride Center of Vermont to make sure we were okay. I'd like to thank Mayor Weinberger and his staff for helping us with all the logistics and also making sure we were okay. To Ron Redmond and the Church Street Marketplace for making our procession down Church Street feel so welcoming with the pride flags. Thank you to our amazing interpreters. And thank you to the faith leaders who reached out. We're going to have them come up in a moment. So this morning when I left the house, I looked at my partner and I said, "Love you, honey, and be safe." And I thought, be safe? I've never said that to her before. It's Pride Month around the world, and even though we do Pride in September here, we can feel Pride here in Vermont right now. And the shootings that happened in Orlando were carried out in a gay bar at Latin night. Bars have been central to the LGBTQ culture. It is a place where we can be who we are. We see our family, we see the people who accept us, who embrace us. It is a place that we go for refuge from a really hostile world. And even that safety was taken from most of us when the shooting happened. Here in Vermont, we have the Pride Center of Vermont, we have Outright, and we have Green Mountain Crossroads. These are our safe spaces here, and I encourage anybody who wants to come and talk to come and find us. What I want you to know is that with all the hate rhetoric that we keep hearing from political leaders, not anyone here tonight, but what we've been hearing, we're pretty sure in the LGBTQ anti-violence movement that this is making violence against our communities spike. So tonight we want to stand in solidarity with one another. We want to stand against the hate speech and the narrow-mindedness that led to this shooting in the first place. We must meet violence with compassion. We must stand together as a community, locally, nationally, and across the world. And we must work hard to secure and keep safe spaces for each and every member of our community. And so I have a couple more thank yous. I want to thank the Pride Center of Vermont for bringing us all together. And I want to thank all of you for being the most amazing community that I could ever hope to be a part of. Thank you so much. And now some words from Senator Sanders.
It says a whole lot about our great city to see so many people out here this evening. Thank you all for being here. And let me thank Kim and Vermont Pride for organizing this important event. Jane and I are very proud to be here with you tonight. On any given Saturday night, the American people from coast to coast, they like to get out, and they like to dance, and they like to party. And that is what people were doing in Orlando, Florida on Saturday night. But then they were shot, and they were killed with a military-style assault weapon. Over 50 more were wounded, 49 were killed in the worst mass shooting in the history of our country. And I know I speak for everyone here in offering our condolences to the families who lost their loved ones, and our hopes and prayers for a full recovery for all those who were wounded. It is impossible to fully understand what goes on in the sick mind of somebody who commits an atrocity like this. Was he motivated by the ideology of some fanatic Islamic organization which believes that it is heroic to shoot down, to mow down dozens of innocent men and women? Was he motivated by homophobia and hatred of the gay community? Was he motivated by some kind of dislike to the United States, the country in which he was born and raised? Was he suicidal and wanted to end his life by taking many with him? We may never know the answers to those questions, but this is what we do know and must never forget. We know that one hateful person committed this terrible crime, not an entire people or an entire religion. The Muslim people did not commit this horror. A man named Omar Martin did. To blame an entire religion for the acts of a single individual is bigotry, pure and simple. It is not what this country is about and not what this city is about. In the midst of this terrible tragedy, if there is any silver lining to it, it is for us to bring people together to prevent violence of all kind, to prevent hatred, and to create the kind of nation based on love that we all know we can become. As Kim just mentioned, our job is not to allow politicians, Mr. Trump or anyone else, to divide us up by where our family came from, the color of our skin, our religion, or our sexual orientation. Our job is to take pride in our diversity, to bring our people together and not let hatred divide us up. We know that ISIS is a barbaric organization, and we know that it must be destroyed. But what we also know right now is that more than any other people on earth, it is the Muslim people who have been hurt by ISIS by the hundreds of thousands. And we also know, by the way, that it is Muslim troops on the ground today who are leading the fight to destroy ISIS and pushing them back and defeating them in Iraq and Syria. Muslim troops. The last point that I would make is all of you know that the weapon used in Orlando was legally purchased. And it is time for us to really rethink something that I have believed for decades, whether or not it makes sense for people today to be able to walk into a store and purchase a military-style weapon which has one purpose and one purpose alone, and that is to kill people. So let me just conclude by taking great pride in our extraordinary community. It is great to be back with you today, and Jane and I thank you so much for all that you have done. Thank you.
Please welcome the Mayor of Burlington, Monroe Weinberger.
Let me start by saying, Senator and Jane Sanders, welcome back to City Hall and this place where you did so much to lead the city forward and start this incredible career. We are celebrating, we've just finished celebrating as a city our 150th year as a city, and at a number of times over that 150-year period, we have tried to come together as a city in this space in City Hall Park and take a photo of that moment. And I think I've seen all of those photos. And I got to tell you, standing up here right now, looking out over this incredible crowd, I'm not sure ever in our 150 years we have had more people in one place at one time. And it says a tremendous amount about this community that you have all come out and come together at this moment to recognize and to bear witness tonight. I want to thank Kim Fountain and the Pride Center of Vermont for organizing tonight's vigil. I also have to note this is the second time as a community in a week during Pride Month that we have come together for a vigil to mark a tragedy in this community. And it is a heartbreaking thing to have to do that. June 12th is a date that we will never forget. Our hearts go out to the families and friends of the victims of this senseless tragedy, and our thoughts are with the wounded. Tonight we show the passionate support for the LGBTQA community that Burlington is known for, joining hundreds of other communities across the country in events like this. The violence yesterday has produced considerable pain, concern, and reflection for many here in the city of Burlington, and it raises many questions which will need to be answered in the days ahead on a whole range of issues. But I think what has caused us to gather tonight is that we're moved by the sentiment that President Obama expressed yesterday when he said that regardless of race, religion, faith, or sexual orientation, we are all Americans, and we need to be looking after each other and protecting each other at all times in the face of this kind of terrible act. I think it is that sentiment expressed by President Obama that has caused so many of us to gather in this event tonight. It is that sentiment that caused the flags along the Church Street Marketplace and the spontaneous additional flags that came out even as we're walking down the street together to be produced. It is that sentiment of coming together and fighting for LGBTQ rights that caused us to gather at this spot just months ago to celebrate the Supreme Court decision protecting same-sex marriage. And it is that sentiment, I think, that causes us to think that we're all Burlingtonians, we are all Vermonters, and we need to be looking after each other and protecting each other in the face of this kind of terrible act.
Next, we have a representative for all the faith communities, and we've asked Imam Islam to speak. Hello, everyone.
On behalf of all faith groups here in Vermont, we're here to show solidarity and to mourn and grieve with the victims and with their families, and to tell you one thing, that whatever happens, we're very outraged that someone committed such a crime against humanity. And that person only represents himself. It does not represent me. It does not represent Islam. It does not represent Muslims here in America or anywhere else in the world. America is the best place to be in to practice your faith, whether you're a Muslim or a Christian or a Jew or a Buddhist or an atheist. And anyone betrayed this trust and this freedom will have to answer to God. So again, very sorry, very outraged with what happened. And Muslims have faced a tough time here in Vermont, and we're being supported by the faith groups and by the law enforcement agents. And we're here just to pay you back this solidarity and to tell you we're here behind you, to support you. And what happened is evil, and evil has no place here. Thank you.
A staff member from the Vermont Pride Center, Carlos Gonzalez, will now speak with you.
Hello. I just have some really short things to say. I am going to read something that I wrote in Spanish first, and then I'm going to translate it in English. Since most of the people that were killed were Latino, and it says, hoy nos hemos reunido aquí para recordar a los fallecidos en la noche del 11 de junio, en la noche latina de la discoteca Pulse. Mi corazón se llena de angustia cada vez que veo a uno de mis amigos en Facebook llorando por sus amigos, por sus hermanos, por su familia. La comunidad LGBT y la comunidad latina han sufrido una gran pérdida. Este atentado sirve como una alarma despertadora. Despierta, comunidad, la lucha no ha acabado. No es tiempo de esconderse, no es tiempo de temer, aún hay mucho por hacer. No es tiempo de dormir, es tiempo de tomar acción por un futuro sin violencia, por un futuro de amor, por un futuro en el que no tenga miedo de tomarle la mano a mi pareja en la calle, en donde pueda expresar mi amor con las personas a las que amo. La comunidad latina dice presente en el día de hoy, en solidaridad con todas las familias que han perdido un ser querido en esa tragedia. And now in English for the people who didn't understand. To my beloved community, we gather today to remember the 50 people who died on the night at Pulse nightclub Latino night. My heart fills with anguish each time I see one of my friends on Facebook crying for their friends, their brothers and sisters, their family. The LGBT community and the Latino community have suffered an enormous loss. This attack rings the alarm. Wake up, community. The struggle is not over. It is not the time to hide. It is not the time to be afraid. There is still much to do. It is not the time to sleep. It is time to take action for a future without violence, a future of love, a future in which I am not afraid to hold my partner's hand on the street, a future in which I can express my love with those I love. The Latino community says present tonight in solidarity with all the families that have lost a loved one in this tragedy. Thank you.
Please welcome Amanda Rodenberg from Outright Vermont.
Queer spaces are sacred. Queer spaces are sacred. And when queer and trans people have been banned, shunned, or shamed from other public spaces, we created our own to celebrate and dance and love one another. And violence cannot take that from us. It cannot curb the love we have for one another. It will only make our support and solidarity grow. We will not be turned against our Muslim queer family and their allies. And we will not turn a blind eye to the roots of injustice that try to keep us closeted, silenced, separated, and in fear. I want to share words from Mary Ellen Solon, a QSA advisor to queer and trans youth, who said to them, "You are part of a national and enduring movement that continues to spread love and safety to queer folks all over the country and world. You are a beacon of light, and your existence makes a difference in the world, especially in these times of sadness. You are love. You are loved, and together we will continue to create safe spaces for our community."
Our last official speaker this evening is going to be Chief Brandon Del Pozo. I really can't tell you what it meant to me to have him reach out first thing on Sunday to make sure we're okay.
So in June of 2011, maybe louder. It's okay. In June of 2011, about 5 years ago, I was present at a gathering of a community that looked like this. It was on Christopher Street in New York City. I was the commander of the 6th Precinct, and gay marriage had just been legalized in New York City. It was a big party. Like today, the police shut down the street. We facilitated expression, and I was so proud to be there. In New York City, at least, and to some extent nationally, in fact, to a great extent, the LGBTQ rights movement was started by the Stonewall Rebellion when the citizens rebelled against police injustice. Police mistreatment here in New York City and around the country, and to see it come full circle and to be shutting down the street and celebrating gay marriage in New York in June, on that street meant so much to me. And I said to myself, look how far we've come. Maybe the work is winding down, but it's not. We're here again in June, 5 years later, for a different reason, together as a community, expressing a different type of emotion. And if you ask the police what they're most proud of, they'll say, being the type of people we are, we're proud to be able to stand in front of our citizens in times of danger. But tonight I can say I've been talking to my officers, and it's an honor and a privilege to be able to stand next to you in a time of sorrow. Just to share this moment with you, not only as protectors, but as equals. We know the fight's not done, but I can speak for Burlington Police, and I know the Burlington Police protect everyone. We protect everyone here. We protect you all. And we have your back, and thank you for having us here. Thank you.
And to wind us up, I'd like to, or wind us down, I should say, I'd like to introduce a community advocate, Jason Larber.
Thank you, Kim, and thank you to Vermont Pride for all you've done to arrange this today. It's really great being here, even though it's such a somber occasion. It's exciting seeing so many people here. And it seems like we were just all here together not too long ago when we were here to celebrate marriage equality. But now we're here under a different circumstance. Then it was 2 steps forward, now it's 1 step back. And as we're here, we recognize that there's so many of us, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer people, who are here, who are offering our hearts, and we're being strong in saying, we need a hug. And there's so many others of us here who are able to offer support and love. We know as LGBTQ people that one of the strongest actions we can take is to come out is to tell our friends, tell our family that we are who we are, and we're proud of that. And when we do that, we change the world. We change each other. We change ourselves. And for those of you who are here who are allies, and there's so many of you, you play an even more critical role because you can help us shape the community. You can shape people's opinions, and we need you to stand up for us. I was asked by Kim to please thank some of the leaders of our community and elected officials who have come here today. But that ain't happening. There's just too many. So many of people are here for the right reasons. And while this was a horrific event that happened, I want to invite everyone to join me in renewing your effort to come out even more, to support those who have come out, to help us with grammar, and to take action. Your presence here says a lot. What you transmit on social media says a lot. I also urge you to reach into your pockets to support the Pride Center and other LGBT organizations. That we need to do more. This is a wake-up call. The world is not as we want it. It is headed in the right direction, but with your support, it will be even better. Thank you.
So go ahead and check the Pride Center webpage for updates, and for now, thank you all for coming out.